So it's January 2026, and when you look at the state of the Lakers right now, I think we can officially call time of death on the whole LeBron James paradigm. Of course not his career, but his power. His ability to pull the strings in that organization is just gone. The king has not been exiled, but he has been dethroned. LeBron is in such a strange spot. He got what he wanted. He's playing with his son in LA, but the cost was all of his power. He's trapped. He's in a golden cage that he built himself. He's watching his son struggle. He's watching Luka take all the big shots, and he's realizing that while he's still a king in title, he's no longer the one sitting on the throne. The NBA runs on two things: stars and stable ownership. For nearly a decade, the Lakers lived in a weird in-between. Less like a traditional franchise and more like a shared kingdom, as a fiefdom governed by the collaborative, albeit increasingly strained alliance between the Buss Family Trust and the Clutch Sports Group. That partnership worked when it mattered most. It produced the 2020 title, powered by LeBron James as both an on-court force and a master of the league's storylines, and by Jeannie Buss's relationship-first, emotionally driven style at the top. That ecosystem didn't just crack, it got taken apart, piece by piece. It was systematically dismantled. Baxter Holmes' ESPN report, which laid out Jeannie Buss's private frustration with LeBron, hit at the exact same time as two bigger shifts: the Lakers' ownership structure changing in a way that modernizes the franchise, and the reality that LeBron, statistically, physically, inevitably, is no longer the same player. The LeBron James era has not ended due to a single catastrophic event, but rather through a pincer movement of forces. Buss finally running out of patience, a colder and more corporate ownership group arriving with different priorities, and Luka Doncic becoming the new center of gravity. LeBron's greatest superpower wasn't just dominance, it was control. His legendary ability to dictate the media cycle. He could shape the conversation, influence decisions, and bend the league's attention toward whatever he wanted. But that control depends on political capital, and that capital has been spent. This is a direct consequence of his disrespect for league norms. For years, the Buss-LeBron relationship was sold as the ideal owner-star dynamic, the Lakers' governor empowering the king to restore the franchise to glory, a sort of symbiotic union. Holmes' reporting cut straight through that image. The revelations published by Baxter Holmes in January 2026 exposed this narrative as a carefully curated fiction that masked deep-seated dysfunction. The relationship wasn't a clean alliance. It was a working arrangement that carried resentment underneath it. I honestly thought I was the only person on this planet that saw LeBron and his Clutch Sports for what they truly are. I guess Jeannie Buss is aware as well. The report paints Buss as privately irritated by James's outsized ego and the overt control he and his agency, Clutch Sports, exerted over the organization. What's striking isn't just the content, it's that it got out at all. For Jeannie Buss to allow this to leak out is the first step to rid yourself of this infection. This is a critical deviation from the public messaging of the Lakers, which has historically protected its stars at all costs. The fact that these sentiments were leaked or discovered suggests a breakdown in the protective machinery that usually surrounds the Lakers front office. The specific grievances cited, lack of accountability and lack of gratitude, strike at the core of the Buss family's management philosophy, which prizes loyalty and familial deference above cold transactional value. LeBron's world is player empowerment and leverage. I deliver value, you deliver support. Those are two very different languages. Perhaps the most shocking revelation, the most jaw-dropping detail, is the report's claim that in 2022, following the disastrous outcome of the Russell Westbrook trade, Jeannie Buss privately mused about trading LeBron James to the Lakers' crosstown rivals, the Los Angeles Clippers. To understand the gravity of this, one must contextualize the Lakers-Clippers rivalry. For decades, the Clippers were the little brother in Los Angeles, relegated to the shadows of the Lakers championship banners. For the Lakers owner to contemplate sending the face of the NBA to their direct geographical rival, sharing the same media market and, at the time, the same arena, indicates a level of frustration that supersedes competitive logic. It suggests that Buss viewed the internal culture rot caused by the friction with James as more damaging than the potential of him succeeding in a rival jersey. It's one of those, I don't give a fuck where you go, but you gotta get the fuck out of here moments. While the trade discussions were internal and hypothetical, merely a thought experiment, the mere existence of it highlights the severity of the disconnect. This occurred before James signed his 2-year, $104 million extension in July 2024, which included a no-trade clause. In hindsight, that no-trade clause appears to be a direct countermeasure by James's camp. Rich Paul and Clutch Sports likely sensed the wavering commitment from ownership and prioritized contractual security over flexibility, recognizing that the partnership was deteriorating into a marriage of convenience. The no-trade clause is something you put in place when you sense the foundation isn't solid. The Russell Westbrook trade was the primary source of the rift between Buss and James. This so-called shadow GM of LeBron and Clutch is destined to clash with the people whose actual responsibility is running the front office. LeBron and AD wanted another star. The Lakers emptied depth and flexibility to get him. The Lakers traded core assets, a move orchestrated by James and Anthony Davis to create a Big Three. The team missed the playoffs. Westbrook was a disastrous fit, and the roster's depth was eviscerated. It failed fast. Bad fit, lost identity, missed expectations, and a roster that couldn't be patched easily because the trade burned the team's options. Holmes' reporting suggests Buss didn't just hate the move, she hated what happened afterward. The resentment wasn't only that Westbrook didn't work, it was the feeling that LeBron's side didn't own the mistake and instead pushed blame onto the front office for not fixing the mess. This dynamic reveals a fundamental incompatibility. Jeanie Buss, operating under a family business model, expected shared sacrifice and shared responsibility. LeBron James, operating under the player empowerment model, viewed his role as the talent who demands tools, and the front office's role as the logistics department responsible for execution. When it breaks, he expects replacement parts. She expects accountability. James's ingratitude is a recurring theme, specifically concerning the drafting of Bronny James with the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA draft. This honestly surprised me and genuinely caught me off guard. It's hard to ignore the level of entitlement it takes to not show gratitude to the Lakers and Jeanie Buss for drafting Bronny. Anyone who does something meaningful for someone I love will always have my appreciation. Externally, the pick was treated as a historic gesture, father and son, same franchise, a league moment. Internally, it reads like something else. Buss viewing it as a real concession that deserved gratitude, while LeBron likely viewing it as a small return on the massive value he'd already provided. That's not just personal drama, it's a clash in how each side calculates who owes who. Buss sees a gift, LeBron sees a transaction. This is the part people miss when they make it purely about basketball. Ownership structure changes everything. The Buss era was unique because the Lakers weren't just a trophy asset, they were the engine. Team revenue mattered in a direct, personal way. Star power wasn't optional, it was survival. A deep capital ownership group flips that. When the franchise shifts into a more corporate model, more liquidity, more outside wealth, more institutional infrastructure, the dependence on one superstar shrinks. LeBron James's decline cannot be separated from the structural changes in Lakers ownership. The sale of a controlling stake in the Lakers to Mark Walter for a valuation of $10 billion marks the most significant structural change in the franchise since Dr. Jerry Buss purchased the team in 1979. This transaction was not merely a financial reshuffling, it was a liquidation of the old order. For decades, the Lakers were unique among major sports franchises in that the primary source of the owner's income was the team itself. This reliance on team revenue created a vulnerability to star power. The Buss family needed LeBron James to sell tickets and sponsorships to fund their lifestyle. LeBron used to be the gravitational force because the organization needed him to be. Mark Walter, who also owns the Los Angeles Dodgers, faces no such constraint. With deep external capital, he represents a shift from family ownership to corporate stewardship. In this new structure, they can afford to be less emotional and more clinical. If new ownership is willing to remove long-time internal fixtures and professionalize how the team runs, that's a signal. Relationships don't outrank structure anymore. And if the organization becomes more merit-driven and less nepotistic, the Clutch ecosystem naturally loses oxygen. The entire leverage model changes. Influence becomes harder to hold when the people at the top aren't operating on loyalty and personal bonds. The Lakers have long operated on a kind of "we're the Lakers, stars will come" instinct. A more modern ownership philosophy pushes in the opposite direction. Model the decision, pressure test the trade, treat luxury tax as a tool, not a fear, and stop making roster moves just to keep one person happy. That's the death of the old dynamic. The Westbrook trade is exactly the type of move an analytics-first operation tries to prevent. However the Luka move happened, the meaning is clear. It gives the Lakers an exit ramp. A 26-year-old superstar changes the timeline from maximize what's left of LeBron to build the next decade. And once that happens, LeBron's role shifts whether anyone says it out loud or not. With AD, LeBron was still the sun. With Luka, the orbit changes. The leadership anecdotes matter here because they show something subtle. Luka is not just producing, he's investing socially and culturally in a way franchises notice. When the new star becomes the one setting tone, the old star's ability to dictate terms fades fast. For the first time in 21 seasons since 2005, LeBron James was not voted a starter for the NBA All-Star Game. This is not merely a piece of trivia. It is a quantifiable metric of his declining influence. LeBron not being an automatic All-Star starter isn't just trivia. It's a loud, measurable signal that his grip on the league's center stage is loosening. This is the league's reality. Jokic, Wembanyama, Luka, and the next wave aren't waiting for anyone to step aside politely. The voting results provide a stark visual of the changing guard. Luka was #1 in fan votes. LeBron was #8. The Lakers fan base, historically loyal to the end, has shifted its primary affection to the younger superstar. The symbolism that matters most in Los Angeles is simple. If Luka is first in love from the fan base and LeBron is no longer the default face, LeBron's leverage with ownership drops. The franchise has a new main character. LeBron's career has always come with a storyline advantage. He could shape coverage, pressure front offices, and steer perception. But that only works when the wider ecosystem still believes your demands are justified. The problem now is that the same decisions that were once tolerated as championship urgency have started to read as disrespect for the league's norms. Westbrook as the classic "I can override roster logic" moment, and Bronny as the clearest "rules don't apply to me" example. When peers start mocking the situation, when media stops treating the influence as genius, and when owners stop fearing the backlash, the control fades. And once LeBron is no longer delivering an MVP-level season every night, there's nothing left to subsidize the politics. Rich Paul's comments suggesting the Lakers should trade Austin Reeves, a fan favorite and non-clutch client, for Jaren Jackson Jr., further fueled the narrative of disrespect. It reinforced the stereotype that Clutch views teammates as assets to be liquidated for the benefit of their clients. In the past, this was tolerated. In 2026, with LeBron averaging 22 points and missing games with sciatica, it is viewed as toxic meddling. Power in the NBA is a function of leverage. In 2020, LeBron James had maximum leverage. He was perceived as the best player on the championship team, and the ownership needed him to stay solvent. In 2026, the equation flips. Financially, new wealth doesn't depend on him competitively. Luka gives the Lakers a future without him narratively. The reporting frames ownership as reacting to dysfunction rather than causing it. LeBron James faces a reality he has never known: irrelevance within his own franchise. He is playing out the string of a contract with a no-trade clause that now acts more as a cage than a shield. He cannot force a trade to a contender because few contenders can match his salary without gutting their team, and the Lakers are no longer desperate to keep him happy. He is likely to finish his career in Los Angeles, not as the shadow GM dictating terms, but as a secondary star supporting Luka Doncic, managing a bad back, and watching his son struggle in the G League, a king in title, but no longer in power. January 2026 reads like the official end of LeBron as centerpiece in Los Angeles, not because of one disaster, but because several forces hit at once. The Holmes story, the ownership modernization, Luka's arrival as the franchise's new star, and the public markers of LeBron's decline with the All-Star voting results has created a new paradigm in Los Angeles. The Lakers' story is no longer being written around clutch. It's being written around a younger superstar and a colder, more modern ownership structure. LeBron James's attempt to engineer a soft landing for his twilight years, where he could play with his son, control the roster, and remain the face of the league, has failed because he underestimated the limits of ownership patience and the inevitable decline of his own body. LeBron still matters, I'll give him that. He's still LeBron. But the era where his presence automatically meant control is over. He hasn't been run out of town. He's just no longer the one holding the keys. Like, subscribe, share, and maybe even hype the video. Let me know if you agree that LeBron's days are winding down. Thanks for watching.